Hey, what's up, guys? It's Oakley, and we'll be doing a 2 versus 2 siege battle on, I was gonna say Napoleon, on Shogun. So it's a triple layer fort. You'd think this would be pretty hard to take, but then you have to recall that there are certain mechanics in Shogun that make it much easier to take than you'd think. It's made even worse by the fact that we're actually doing traditional versus new modern armies, so they're gonna have access to the Armstrong gun. So our city is actually going to be coming under siege and under fire. So I haven't actually bought the Fall of the Samurai, but that doesn't mean you can't play against those factions, which I think is a cool feature. I definitely think I should at this point. Not only for the campaign, which I heard is spectacular, but also for access to some of these units. And these units are just destroying our guys. The general here was supposed to be hidden. It seemed like he was behind the castle itself, but they still get some shots off, and they're going to start picking off our katana samurai. I myself had deployed some cavalry outside of the city itself, so bow cav over there, and then some other ones I pulled over to this side. And then I realized that our opponents actually know kind of what's up. They brought some cavalry just for the express purpose of chasing down our units who were outside of the battlefield itself. So they're kind of going along this stride moat. But what I do have up against the wall is going to be a bunch of archers, matchlocks, and they're going to start raining hell down on these units. And so they're going to be chasing my guys in the distance, but all the while starting to take fire from my guys up on the terraces. So I didn't actually know this, but his units are quicker than mine, probably because these are fully veteraned or almost fully veteraned Yariki, which means he's put a lot of special upgrades on them. If you're not familiar with Shogun 2, you can actually give your units veterancy and give them stats, so he probably gave these guys speed. So my bow-cav are kind of trying to scoot on out there, and they got to the protection of the walls where I have more matchlocks, more archers, but now he's going to be chasing after my other bow-cav unit that was up on the hill getting some shots off. And so he's kind of cutting me off from getting to the protection of the hill. We can watch this. My guys are desperately trying to fall back to the fortress. Now you're going to get all the arrows and musket fire coming down through here. So you can watch this as it gets unleashed. So our forces are going to start separating. I was able to draw the opponent into some combat, kill some of his men, but ideally I would have loved to have traded those guys away without taking too many losses. You can see I did maybe a quarter of the damage on both units. And I was also scouting around to see if they had any ninjas who might sneak up on us. But for the most part, now we're going to be able to fall back to the terrace. I guess for our defense, I brought actually some of these, you can name your units, and I named these a while ago. I'm wondering why I called these Mojo Baby. Anyways, these are long Yari Ashigaru, so they have almost pikes. My ally has brought some light cavalry, and let's see, Yari Ashigaru. My general is here. I brought a lot of bows and matchlocks, pretty cheap ones. On the inner perimeter, I am keeping actually my, where are they? I have some high elite tier, yeah, bow warrior monks. So I'm saving those for later in the battle. Our opponent is now going to move forward. Both of them are going to start to deploy some of their early ranks. So they're saving some of their elite units for the assault. And then these guys are going to start charging up through the ditch. And they're already going to start taking fire from our defenses. So at this distance, you know, I do have some protection, but they're mostly just trying to waste my ammo, do initial damage before coming in with the most important feature, which is going to be the heavy infantry. But what I figured I'd do is these matchlocks, you can see they're caught kind of in a ditch and they don't have the best line of fire. So look in the distance there. I'm going to have my own cavalry come in perhaps to clean up this fight without myself having to trade too many losses. I mean, it looks like I'm not even losing that many men, except for perhaps these Bow Ashigaru over here. We're getting picked off as they stand on these defenses. And some of the cool things about the first person view of this game is you can actually get down to the level of the warrior like this, so you feel like you're riding the horse. And so now I'm going to start running down some of his forces. We'll watch my bow cav as I clean up some of these enemy units. And I am kind of susceptible to units on the, look at the top of the hill. Some units that are going to start forming up and coming in. I was hoping this little ridge would protect me. But then I'm going to go, oop. Okay. But then I'm going to go ahead and pull out of this fight. I did enough damage, and now his guys are going to start unleashing on me. They have some really excellent range. Tulsa Riflemen have I think the craziest range in the game, so dealing with these guys is very, very difficult. They can pick off your units from a huge distance. So I did my hit and run, and then I retreated. I was able to balance the odds in my favor over on this side. And now we broke the bow kachi, we broke the other rifle unit, and now cleaning these bow units should be pretty easy for my part. All I've lost in exchange is a bow ashigaru, and that's about it. Yeah, so trading pretty well in my favor then. But now here comes the rest of the assault on this side with some more units, again, kind of hiding in the ditch, protecting them from fire of any of our matchlocks. But we don't have much deployed on this side. We've kind of retreated back to the second rank. And so now we have units on all levels of the terrace, kind of starting to ready themselves to face off and kill the opponents as they clamber up. We'll see if we have enough units. Our opponents have a lot of these guys. Here comes the Yarikachi, and these guys are relatively cheap, and they're kind of the first wave assault. And if this was any other game, you'd think, oh, how are they going to get in? If you're not familiar with Shogun 2, I won't ruin it. We're going to go ahead and watch this. And actually we have some matchlocks starting to deploy up at the top, so taking a lot of fire at these guys. And here comes the opponent. Can actually start climbing up the walls, so I always thought that was an interesting feature in this game. It makes sieges very, very different. So my guys are going to continue to try and shoot these guys, meanwhile we're taking archer fire. What I decide to do is pull out. These guys are really, really close to actually killing me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back to this side and just get a better firing position. And then we have the ranks up here, bow ashigaru. We're going to start to pick off the units right at the wall. Meanwhile, our opponents are pushing up here. I launched an assault with my light cavalry out the gate and tried to swamp some of these katana kachi. I was worried about these guys. I don't have enough infantry up here to deal with swords, so I knocked out one of their swords. Heavily damaged another one, but they punished me for that. And then I'm going to retreat back to the ranks over here. Meanwhile, they're going to start bombarding our defenders up on the top. The fortress itself actually can get some shots off, which is pretty cool. And now we're going to man the ramparts. But we're going to be taking so much damage up here. The mass ranks of the enemy is doing a tremendous amount of work. Now what I could have done is charged with my other bow cav up through this flank and help clean this up. But they had enough Yari Ki to prevent that from happening. So a good strategic move on our opponent's part. The Yarikachi are now in the fortress itself. They're going to start swarming up that level, as well as this level. So the opponents have now made it to the first line of defenses. And in the face of this, we're going to have to pull back, actually. So I get a couple more volleys off, and then I'm going to pull off. And what we're going to do is start to reform back here with the support of my matchlocks. I'm pulling back here. I did enough damage on these Yarikachi. I'm pulling them back, and then I'm going to be able to engage with my general. Meanwhile, we're being pummeled entirely on this flank with all the cannon fire. But now we broke the Yarikachi, so that's excellent for us. It's going to mean we can start to reform, garrison these walls, and get some nice flanking shots on the units starting to take the field over here. So I leave one archer unit just as fodder. My matchlocks are then going to prepare, reload, and then I have rear ranks back here of archers firing into this, so I always appreciate the graphics. And actually the unit colors on this are, I think, custom. There should be some of my veteran guys. So now they're going to start getting fired on from the front by matchlocks, by my ranks of bows. The enemy knows that this is a big threat. Their cannons are going to start targeting me. And if you want to look up on the walls, look at what's going to come down at our opponents here. So my archers in the front are still kind of holding this fight. We will lose this, but now we're going to start getting some murderous fire on these guys. So I'm going to be able to break this initial assault. Lots of devastating fire on these ranks. They're going to be pouring more katana kachi into this fight. But now the riflemen, kind of the cream of the crop, are going to start to move into the back of the plaza, while these perhaps mercenary local levies are going to start to engage and just try and occupy us. So pretty brutal charge. I'm going to hold this with my matchlocks and then start to get more flanking fire up there. More of my matchlocks are kind of deciding where to position them. I decided to put them here just so I can break this blob. Some of my bow cav tried to snipe some of his rifles from the back, but I got intercepted. Meanwhile, over here we're back positioned in the front, but we're losing a lot of men in that engagement, so we're just getting withered away through attrition on that front. Then over here the enemy is starting to pour in a lot of their men. I was able to break it. They broke my matchlocks. Now they're going to try and penetrate through to the second rank, but they break just at the last minute, and they're going to get arrows in the back for their their attempts. And I also do love some of the kill animations. They're dragged out a long time in Shogun, and you can see guys on the ground, in pain and agony. So I'm going to continue to do as much damage as I can with my troops on the second level. The opponent is trying to hold strong, and most of our defenders that are still on the walls trying to do damage to these Katanakachi. They're going to, take up the stand, but there's so many arrows coming in here. Oh my god. Let's try and get a shot of this. Holy shit. So these defenses aren't for nothing. They do a lot of protection from arrows, but still some of them will get through and kill your guys. So now here they come, pushing up through to the main level. Meanwhile, over here I've been forced to pull back. The enemy is going to send in their Yari, so this is a good move on their part. So cavalry is not only good for intercepting on the outside, but actually on the flat open terraces that you can come in and engage with the defenders. Over here they're pushing up the sides with 2 units. I'm pretty scared of this. And so what I do is I bring back my Mojo babies back to this position. We're going to form up a wall. And then over here we also have Yari Ashigaru to try and hold back the opponent. They're continuing to charge through our men, but losing a lot in the process, and they want to wait for the support of their rifles and archers. Let's see what's going on. It's a little hard to follow with the custom colors, but these are enemy forces. And we're starting to get some Boar Warrior Monk fire straight down into these guys, so it's going to be taking a toll. My pikes are going to be reforming. We beat back the Yari charge, and now the Tosa Riflemen. Very, very deadly. These guys can probably almost shoot me if they were to scoot up a little bit further, so I have to be very worried about that. More Katanakachi moving up. I'm going to pull back my matchlocks and reinforce with my long Yari Ashigaru. And these guys are excellent for holding the plaza. If I can keep them out of enemy fire, they'll do tremendous amounts of damage, plus the supporting fire of my bows. We're really going to be able to keep these guys at bay. Totally cleaning these guys up. So I'm going to be able to get some nice wins in the open plazas. Nothing they can do to really break these long Yari Ashigarus until they get muskets or rifles up on the top. More of their units are starting to penetrate through here, but they can't really break through until they get the archer support. So the archers are creeping forward, and then finally they're going to move up, and the enemy is just trying to pick away at our Yari Ashigaru. My ally should probably position himself in cover like we're doing with the rest of our forces. And at least he is doing that with the more expensive Naginata warrior monks. Over here he's going to charge forward, and my matchlocks, sort of got caught. And I'm going to pull them back to safety once more, pull my opponent into the spears, and then finish off his guys. So I'm doing a good job of eliminating all the enemy forces remaining on the second tier, plus the supporting fire of my Bull Warrior monks, getting a tremendous number of kills on these Katanakachi. So now our opponent is going to send more guys up here. I'm not too worried about that. I can hold that forever with the spears. It's the progression up this flank that is very, very troublesome. If these Imperial Guard units can get up here, then we're going to be in trouble. So I really have to clean up this flank as soon as possible. My archers are trying to squeeze against the wall to try and avoid the fire of his rifles, but now they're in plain sight. And this is going to be absolutely devastating on my Yari Ashigaru. I have a lot of units, so it'll take them a while to chew through. And I probably should have put myself on wide formation, but if I did so, I would have exposed myself to more fire. You can see how only one of his units can really fire, so I figured I'd try and hide at least to the best of my ability. And just concentrate fire and try and destroy these Tosa rifles, which is kind of working. I still have Matchlock Warrior Monks on this position, concentrating fire on these guys. So I really want to take the Tosa rifles out, and it's kind of working. But look at this, he's already absolutely destroyed my first archer unit. So I'm going to leave this guy engaged, and I'm going to move the other unit back behind this house, see if I can't get some shots on from there. Meanwhile, over here, our opponents are starting to send up some units, absolutely destroying our defenders. And anything we try and throw to beat back guys on the walls, they're going to then go ahead and shoot up with their units. So yeah, it's not going that well for us on that flank. Meanwhile, over here, he's engaged with my Matchlock Warrior Monks. I countercharge just to try and kill these guys, and it looks like it's actually working. They may be able to break. I pulled back my spears to the top level because I figured that's where we needed to beat back these forces. So my guys here are pretty exposed. I have one archer unit left, still continuing to do work on the Katara. How do you spell these guys? Kihari? Kihite, I guess. But they break my archers. So I'm going to let my tower do the damage. And then I'm going to keep one lonely little unit back here. And I was trying to reposition them. It's a little glitchy when you're behind some structures. So yeah. I was trying to form up back here or within the cover, but whatever. I'm going to deploy them and kind of throw them into that fight. Anyways, what's going on here? Yeah, I countercharge with my general just to clean up some of these Shogutai, because they were gonna charge right through here. So I was able to do a decent amount of damage against these guys, bring them down to 100, and I pull up my general. However, he's getting counter fire from his Infanterie de Marine. I'm not sure, are those Portuguese? I can't remember exactly. So I keep trying to countercharge these guys, do damage. I was able to ward him away, but the archers and close support are going to be able to pick apart anything I leave. So now it's up to the Mojo babies to come in here. So these guys are definitely the heroes of the siege, coming into position. And as long as they are not sniped by the enemy rifle fire or archers, I should be okay. Meanwhile, down here, they're continuing to put fire on my guys. Now that you can see, once they get in a long line, it'll do a lot of damage to your forces. So my archers are going to try and return fire, but yeah, these are Bo Ashigaru. They're not going to hold up to the rifle fire. I'm trying to get some shots on his general. It's not really going to end up amounting to much. Katanakachi there. I have my own general here just to threaten these guys, countercharge if need be. But we're going to be losing more and more guys. The more we can hold them up, the better. It means our tower up here, the main fortress, is going to start to break them, which is good. My own Bocav is going to go ahead and chase after the Armstrong guns just to silence those guys, make sure they can't do any more damage. But the rest of the walls have now fallen at this point. So the bows have fallen silent, the guns have fallen silent on this side. Huh. But we're actually starting to snipe some of these guys with our towers. I saw one guy get headshotted. So they're going to pull up here. And that's going to mean they can just infiltrate and pour on more fire onto these guys. I do have my Long Yari formed up pretty well. These guys were threatening to push on this side, so I threatened a counterattack. And then I pull back just to delay their approach up the hill. And I wish I had some archers here just to take out this annoying general. But sadly, we've kind of run out. My bow warrior monks are occupied on this position, trying to get some final shots off at the remainder of the opposing units over here. Clean up a couple of the Imperial Marines. And I was able to take out the Armstrong guns, but not that it amounts to too much. And now it's kind of a waiting game. Holding the fortress. They have a lot of forces starting to accumulate and muster on this side. Shogutai, I'm slowly taking my toll on them. They have Bokachi, so they can kind of start to return fire. But my guys will have better accuracy. Wow, that guy took it through the arm. So now here we go. They're going to start to assault. I'm going to pull my general back through the gate. I didn't know the enemy could just charge through a gate. I guess at this point it's been blown up and destroyed. I didn't quite notice that on the battle. Let's see. Damage 10%, huh? I'm not quite sure. Controlled by your alliance. I'm not sure why they could charge through, but anyways they did. I'm going to countercharge with my general into these units. Try and take them out, but this is going to be just the signal for our opponents to move up with everything. Over on this side, my own Long Yari are destroying these Katanakachi, so I'm going to now try and reposition them to hold back the right flank, but more guys are pouring into the side, so I try and swap my general for where there's less units, and then put my long pikes on the right. My units are getting kind of caught up. The enemy general's in the mix. I start popping abilities. This is kind of down to the last few men in the shadow of the fortress here. I'm doing my best to rally everything I can, and I'm trying to, take out all of these general units, so I'm hoping perhaps if I can snipe the general, then that'll cause a morale blow, something like that, but it looks like all my guys are starting to raver. My general is still alive at 8 men, however. I was trying to disengage him from this fight because he's engaged on some units, and I wanted him to charge, counterattack these Ketai, but to no avail. And my Long Yaris are not exactly formed up as they should be. And now all the riflemen are starting to unleash, and that finally cracked the morale. So, very, very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm definitely liking getting back into Shogun. Hopefully you guys will won't mind me posting some of these videos. I like doing these throwbacks. So in the comments below, let me know what type of battles you'd like to see. Either from what Total War game, what type of battle, what type of armies you think I should bring, and all that. So I'm definitely all ears. And yeah, here's some of the stats at the end of the game. So my ally not getting very many kills, 825. He took the brunt of the cannon fire, and I guess just had his guys fully exposed to the archers. I got a pretty good amount of kills, but our opponent's definitely doing very well. We can look at some of the stats. My general 100 kills, bow monks 124, a lot of kills all around. Surprised my matchlock warrior monks actually racked up 124. My bow cav doing okay. I probably should have brought more shock cavalry and done a sortie. Those usually go well, but here are my mojo babies. 205 kills, definitely representing a lot of XP for those guys. So very fun battle. My ally doing okay. I think he ended up just bringing a lot of cheap units. Yeah, all his units are pretty cheap, and those just got whittled away by the opponents. 211 by the Katanakachi. Once they got up to our ranks, they just absolutely raped our guys. Same with the Tosa rifles. Those guys are expensive, so you expect them to get a lot of kills. He brought a lot of units here. A lot of the Yarikachi, Katanakachi. And these guys definitely getting a pretty good amount of kills too, especially the Armstrong guns. I think that was the biggest early on damage blow that we could take. But yeah, very fun battle. So I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.